Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uproot Reddit. Everyone knows that when going in for a job interview, before walking in the business's establishment, it's important to remain professional and level-headed. Not only that, but keep our attitudes in check. Unfortunately, one person, or should I say that one person, didn't do so well in the professionalism department. And Reddit user Some Moose had the honorary privilege of interviewing this one person who had one job. Let's see what actually happens when you explode in front of your future boss in today's post, The Karen and the Boss. Okay, this one is juicy, albeit a semi-long one, but first, background info. I'm a 55-year-old male, an autistic Asperger's and sufferer with Tourette's when hyper-excited or stressed out. I own a graphic design operation and have a gorgeous Downs teenager in the front of the shop, which I adore, and I treat her like a daughter. The front of the shop is a little too tight for my power chair, which is why I always use the rear entrance. Now, to the story. I showed up a little late for an interview with a prospective manager, and as I pulled into the disabled area outside the shop, a woman came up to me demanding why I was parked in the disabled bay, as clearly I wasn't disabled. So I pulled out the blue badge and put it in the window and ignored her silly rant. It's fake. It's obviously a fake. I'm reporting you to the police. Fine, go ahead. I'll wait here. I smiled sweetly to her. Soon enough, the police arrived and asked what the commotion was about. Karen told them I was blatantly disregarding the laws and parking in the disabled bay. I asked the nice officer if I can exit my vehicle and explain. I pressed the button on my console and the boot popped open. Then I began to drive my power chair out the back and down the ramp. Karen's jaw dropped so far, she almost had to retrieve it from the pavement. Anything else? The nice officer asked Karen before walking away. Now the juicy bit begins. I drive my chair around the corner and into the rear of the shop, as per usual, and set up ready for the interview, leaving a red-faced Karen spluttering. Also, she was red-faced with the officer. Soon after I settled down, I hear the shop door open and a customer arrived. Janet, whom I can hear welcome the person with the usual greeting. Hello and welcome to shop name. Please feel free to look around, and if you need anything, feel free to ask and I will endeavor to be of service. Not another freaking one, was screeched. You should all be aborted and less of a burden to the country. Obviously, Janet was taken aback and sputtered out an, "Excuse me? You're all the freaking same, no brain and all drain. I'm here for the interview and the first thing I'm gonna do is fire your useless butt and get someone competent in instead. Now go and get your boss, as some jerk caused me to be late." Okay, that comment was unwarranted. When you have a Downs teenager that you adore as your own child and then somebody comes up and just badmouths them, you know drastic measures need to be taken. So let's see what Some Moose did in this situation. Quote, "By then, I had heard enough and called out to Janet to show the person through, and thus I could hear her barge past her and arrive at my office. The look on her face when the jerk, as she so eloquently spoke of, was the interviewer, smiling sweetly enough to give her a cavity. I waited until the color finished draining out of her before letting her know how I felt about her. Hello, Miss or Mrs. Please take a seat. Now, I hear you have a great resume and are exceptional at managing a business and customer service. Now, please tell me, who the frick do you think you are coming over all high and mighty? Yes, I did hear you berating Janet and telling her she was going to be replaced as soon as you get hired. Well done, genius. You can get the first prize, which is absolutely nothing. Now get out, and if I see you in here, then I will not be able to restrain myself. But, no freaking buts. Get out or you will be arrested for trespassing. I think she broke the land speed record exiting my establishment. Oh well, maybe the next applicant would suit. See, what did I tell you? That's one explosion from your future boss you don't want to hear. Oh, but wait, it gets even better. Here's a follow-up of the events that happened after the interview, and I quote, "Okay, you're not gonna believe this, but have it or not, there's more to come. Just got back to my establishment from our local supermarket, and I'm still crying with fury and laughter at what just happened. I took Janet to get her food with mine, so I closed up the shop and we went to get food for us. And who do you think we see at the store? You guessed it. It was Karen. Now, not someone who's known to hold a grudge for long, I smiled sweetly at her direction and waved. She went paler than my sheets and hurried off. Well, it was her losses at the end of the day. A few minutes later, whilst we were at the deli counter looking, and behold, security arrived with Karen in tow. There they are, pointing to us. They're the ones who verbally assaulted me, and I demand that they are escorted out and banished from here. Now, the security guard looks at me and Janet in bewilderment and asks what happened. But before I can explain, Karen butts in with the old "I already told you" routine. Now get the manager here now, and I demand you give me a huge discount for the stress you and these people are doing to me. Well, I nodded slightly to him and said, "Please do." After about 8 minutes or so, the manager arrived and looked at me and Janet. Before he could say anything, I said that this lady had a complaint regarding us and your retail outlet. Well, cue Karen's dirge and oh woe is me lecture about how me and Janet's disgraceful behavior towards her was so upsetting that she had to go get security in to escort us from the premises. The manager looked at her with the look of, "What are you smoking? Shall we look at the CCTV footage and take it from there?" Janet couldn't help herself anymore and says, "Hi, Daddy." The second time this week, Karen needs to retrieve her chin from off the floor, splutters something almost intelligible, and storms off. "Don't come back now, you hear?" The manager calls after her. Now, I can't wait for an episode 3, if there is any. Now, as you can see, playing quote-unquote the victim, even though you were clearly in the wrong, is delving far from remaining professional on all accounts. Not only that, but it'd be best to not hold grudges on past mistakes. After all, moving on is a good thing, which reminds me of a Reddit post where moving on actually backfires, because apparently Reddit user Montana-13, according to one mom, didn't really exist. Now don't take my word for it, here's the full story, entitled, "Yes, I'm sure I'm me. No, I'm not dead." I mean, it's one thing to forget the person, but to assume that they were dead, that's kind of harsh. Not really an "I do work here," more of an "I'm supposed to be here." When I was younger, I was very reclusive and rarely socialized with my classmates, or anyone for that matter. So while parents saw everyone else from the village I live in growing up after we left primary school, or elementary school, I was never really seen by anyone. Fast forward to our prom when we left secondary school, around high school, age 16, and one of the mothers from our village decided it would be nice to get a class photo of everyone who went to our primary school. We all gathered together and were waiting for her to take the photo when she approached me and we had the following interaction. "Excuse me, but this is a photo for our village school's pupils only." Yes, I know. That's why I'm here." No, I don't think you understand. This is only for school's pupils. It was at this point that I realized that she didn't recognize me. So I tried to explain the situation to her. "Sorry, Mrs. Smith, I'm Montana. I went to village school with your son, John." "You know, I don't appreciate being lied to. It's only a photo, just freak off so I can take it." "I don't understand why you think I'd be lying. I've known John for the last 10 years. I even played rugby and football with him for 6 of those years." "I know you're lying because Montana is dead. She died not long after they started secondary school." At this point, I was about to give up. but her son finally decided to set her straight. Mom, this is Montana. Stop making a fool of yourself and just take the photo. No, I know she died. Stop trying to make excuses for her to be in the photo. Fine, this is her ghost. Just take the freaking photo. Not as dramatic as some of the other posts on here, but it always makes me laugh when I think about it. Especially because it has always been a joke in my family that I look like the undead. I guess she thought so too. Oh, and thank you kindly, Redditor, for the award. It couldn't be more apt. I guess the key takeaways are to remain professional at a job interview and to not assume that someone is dead when all they did was went MIA for a time. Oh well, you know what? That's all for today. We'll be back for more I Do Work Here Lady stories right here on Uproot Reddit. We'll see you next time, everyone.